In my opinion, you guys are the best fan base there is out there on the internet, and that's exactly why you deserve the very best, which is why you deserve the OneFootball app. For me, the OneFootball app is the best football app there is out there. It's great for player statistics, team news, transfer news, and all of that good stuff. And also, now on top of that, you get full Serie A coverage for free, which means every week you get game highlights, team news, and also every Saturday you get a match which you can watch on the app, literally for free. This week it will be Torino versus Sassuolo, which I'm really looking forward to watching. If you guys want to watch it as well, make sure to download the OneFootball app. The link will be in the description down below. Like I said, it's completely free. You'd be absolutely crazy not to download it. Make sure you download it. Trust me guys, you will not regret it. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we have our third match coverage of the week. Today we are in the Europa League, and I want to talk about Manchester United's win over Sheriff. And I also want to talk about some of the things that we learned about Ten Hag's side. Because while some will look at this and say it was a bit of an easy win, I think there are still some important lessons that Ten Hag will have learned and adaptations that need to take place moving forward in the future. But let's just get to the tactics board, and as we'd expect, Manchester United were in this 4-2-3-1, and then Sheriff were in what we will call a 4-3-3, although Kyabu in midfield often dropped very deep, forming a back five defensively. So, probably as we expected, Manchester United dominated the ball, and Sheriff did not press at all, which meant actually for one of the first games in a while, United were able to play the ball out from the back. We didn't really learn too much here because they weren't really tested. It was just a simple pass out to one of the centre-backs, and then they progressed the ball forward from there. And as we'd expect, with Sheriff not really putting the pressure on, the full-backs were able to push slightly further forward, and the centre-backs were then able to step forward. One thing I did find interesting was that Eriksen was pushing slightly higher as we expect, but was that Lisandro Martinez wasn't overly keen on always stepping forward in here. Now, unfortunately, kind of like the camera angle we were watching it on, I'm not sure if there was something happening higher up the pitch which was the reason for that, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Because more often than not, he would kind of step forward, step in, bait the striker across, and then play across to Rafa Varane, and then Varane was the one that could step forward. Now, from here, in the early exchanges, United struggled to progress the ball a little bit, which often meant that once Varane had stepped forward, he would then play the ball back to Dalot, and United would kind of recycle. And slightly slow start to the game, not really any tempo from United. However, when there's these quality players against inferior opposition, if we're being reasonable, you start to see these things happening. However, down the right-hand side, I do think there was a genuine problem with progression. Now, yes, United won 2-0, so that kind of masks it a little bit, but I think there were issues with how United were looking to progress the ball. And the way I'll describe it is by looking at the average positions. We can see this here. Now, initially it looks kind of okay. We've basically got a 2-4-4 with Eriksen slightly higher than Scott McTominay. We can see Bruno's very high, which I've said in the past I do prefer, although perhaps not quite as high as this. But I wonder if you guys can figure out the issue here, just by looking at that. Just quickly type in the comments down below what you think the issue is with this average positions, in terms of ball progression down the right hand side. I'll give you like 5 seconds to quickly put that. I am just going to quickly interrupt because we do have another sponsor for today's video, and that is JerseyFIFA.com. The website you need to head to right away to get yourself the latest and greatest football shirts, all at an extremely affordable price. The link will be in the description below, so head there right away to get yourself a great shirt, again at a great price. Now back to the video. That's long enough. So, the issue is, we have Christian Eriksen, number 14, on the left-hand side in centre mid. And we also have Bruno Fernandes, number 8, who was obviously also starting as a midfielder, also drifting to the left-hand side. So if you look at the positions of that 14 and that 8, and then if you were to mirror it, flip it over to the other side, you would see that there is no one playing in that same position on the right. Now, what also isn't helped is we look at the 6 and the 19. Lisandro Martinez, number 6, is a much better progressive passer than what Rafa Varane is at number 19. Now, Varane is still a good passer, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to criticise him. But I think United just lacked a bit of ball progression. So let me just put it in on the tactics board here. Bruno Fernandes was pushing up here, Eriksen was obviously drifting left, and it meant that United didn't have a ton of ball progression down this side. And as a result, they couldn't take advantage of having Antony. Now, United have spent a lot of money on him, and one of the reasons for that is because of his ability to hold the width and then get at players. United didn't take advantage of that because they couldn't get the ball to him. McTominay was playing a very central position, effectively as a solo pivot, and there just wasn't a ball progression to Antony. And people were going to criticise Antony, say he came for a big price tag, and he didn't make enough of an impact in this match. He wasn't given the ball. And I think this is something that United need to address in the future, and Ten Hag needs to address in the future. But now I just want to talk about the left-hand side, because down the left it was much more impressive, much more fluent. And the reason for that is because you've got Lisandro Martinez, who is a better progressor than Varane. You've got Christian Eriksen, who is maybe United's most important player at the moment. Let me know if you want to see a video on that. And then Bruno Fernandes, who we know is very creative and good with his passing. So the benefit of this is that Christian Eriksen is always happy to drop into this area here. And with Sheriff not really overly keen on following him, because I don't want to leave the gaps in behind, it allowed Eriksen to take control of this game. And this guy is developing into a top deep-lying playmaker. Kind of, not as a regista in the middle, but to one side where he can also push forward, but he's also happy to drop back and then progress the ball through the lines with his passing. He is very, very impressive at the moment. And what it meant was suddenly on this side, the likes of Sancho and Fernandes were getting a lot of touches. And we can see the overloads now here. If we go back to the average positions real quick, we can see how crowded that left-hand side is. And in a sense, it's a good thing because they had a lot of players there, a lot of technical players there who can work the ball forward. But also it's a downside for the right-hand side. And I think that is a balance that Ten Hag needs to work on. So I will come back to how to change that in the future, but first I guess let's talk about the goals, because it's a bit of a weird performance, it's a bit of a weird game to analyse, because it was very flat. It's not a big game. If you look at the games we've been doing in the Champions League, they were much bigger games. This was still an important win for United, don't get me wrong, after losing the first game, but it just doesn't have that same jeopardy on it, and it was a slightly flat feeling to the game, and it was just a bit too easy for United. They were never really heavily tested. Defensively, they were very solid once again. On the ball, you could just tell that United were the better team, so they never really got past first gear. However, we did see some really nice little link-up and interplay in the final third, and in those situations, we did see the wingers coming a little bit narrower, and at times, it was a bit more something like this, almost like a 3-1, what's that, 6? A 3-1-6 shape, with Antony and Sancho kind of coming into the pockets, and not necessarily something I expected because, like I said earlier, Antony was signed to hold the width, but United did look reasonably good in this shape in the final third, and their quick passing and interplay, I saw some nice stuff, and we saw it for the goals. So let me find the goals up real quick for you here. So this is the first goal, and this has come after a long passing move. I can't show you all of the move because I'll get copyrighted, but basically it kind of starts on this side with Antony. He comes infield with the ball. There's a few passes in here. Sancho and Bruno Fernandes play a quick 1-2. But what we can see is that both wingers are quite narrow. And we can see Eriksen and McTominay both playing slightly deeper. And Malacia pushing nice and high on the left wing. Ronaldo's going to be in the box. And we can see Bruno Fernandes on this left-hand side. So he's played the 1-2 with Sancho. It comes to Eriksen. Sancho plays it into Eriksen here, sorry. Eriksen steps forward with the ball. And this picture here sums it up quite nicely. We can see the width from Malacia. And we can see this front six I'm talking about. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then Dalot wide right being the number 6, and then Eriksen and McTominay playing deeper. Eriksen steps forward into this area and plays a beautiful pass. I don't think many players in this squad are capable of playing this pass and just having the vision to play it. They might be capable of playing it, but just having the vision in the first place. Because the obvious option was to go sideways, and this is the big upside of having Christian Eriksen in your side. Fred and McTominay probably don't play this pass. It probably gets cycled wide to Antony, and then perhaps one more to Dalot, something like that. This is craft on the ball, and Christian Eriksen deserves a lot of credit for how he is adapting to this team. This is now, the 5th club he's done this at, where he's played in a different system, a different style of football, and fitted in effortlessly. He's an incredible footballer. But anyway, enough of the Eriksen fanboying. Eriksen plays the ball into Jadon Sancho, takes a nice touch here, turns past his man, and then puts it into the bottom corner. And I think Ten Hag will be very pleased with this goal, because I think in terms of structure, this is what he was aiming for in this particular game. Like I said, we can see the front 6 with the fullbacks both high and wide. We can see the 2 wingers narrow, with Sancho of course scoring, and Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo in the box. And I think also what he would have liked was the patience in the move. Like I said, this was a long passing move. I can't show you all the passes, so go check it out online somewhere. But there were a lot of passes in this move, and players kind of jockeying, moving into different positions, so I think Ten Hag will be pleased with that. Second goal was a little bit more straightforward. Dalot picks the ball up here, and actually now we do see Bruno Fernandes playing slightly more on the right-hand side. And unsurprisingly, in this position here, that leads to chance creation. So Dalot is just going to play a simple pass into Bruno Fernandes, and he's going to give the ball back, and they're going to win a penalty. So Dalot plays it, and what I like from Dalot is that he doesn't just admire his pass or play it safe, he does then make that bursting run in behind. Bruno Fernandes plays a delicious ball, which we know he's capable of. Dalot gets on the end of it and gets taken out. Ronaldo scores the subsequent penalty. 2-0 Manchester United, Ronaldo's got his first goal of the season, and it was a really comfortable first half. However, I think moving forward there is a slight change that needs to be made. I don't think we will necessarily see this shape in every game, because not every opponent this season is going to be quite as easy as Sheriff. Yes, I thought they put a good show of themselves, but they're not the greatest team in the world. So more likely what is going to be the shape is the fullbacks playing slightly more reserved like this. Eriksen pushing slightly here. But again, if we just put this into perspective here, whether it's Rashford or Ronaldo up front, it doesn't matter. The point is, Eriksen drops left-hand side, but that's where Fernandes likes to play. And Eriksen is a very good ball progressor, but also a very good creator, which means Sancho is already getting plenty of the ball, along with Lisandro Martinez progressing. So there's plenty of ball progression down this side. Bruno offers that creativity. I think, for balance, Bruno Fernandes needs to start moving to the right-hand side a bit more. Now, this is something that he needs to notice in-game himself, but also something that I think Ten Hag tactically needs to make that little tweak, because I think suddenly you will get a lot more from Antony, and perhaps even Dalot with underlapping runs. And this is something I would like to see happen more. We've kind of seen it on and off the past few weeks, but last night Bruno Fernandes was very, very left-hand side heavy, and Antony just barely got the ball. And the strengths of Antony are playing up 1v1 versus his fullback. He was constantly having to drop quite deep towards the halfway line to get the ball, just because the ball progression wasn't there down this side. So that is a little tweak I would like to see moving forward. Bruno Fernandes just coming across a little bit, but that's not too important in the grand scheme of things in this particular game, and I'm not saying Ten Hag got it wrong tactically or anything like that. United were comfortable winners, they played pretty well. Defensively, never looked threatened at all, very solid at the back once again, and again that back four looks very impressive, a video coming on that soon. But I just think, in a game like this, Ten Hag will still have learned things, and that's the most important thing at this early stage in his Manchester United career. And the thing that I learned personally was that Bruno Fernandes does need to shift right a little bit more to keep balance in the team. Will that happen? I guess we'll have to wait and see. We've got quite a long wait now because of the international break, but hopefully that's something that we see change after the international break. Apart from that, United were pretty impressive. They got the job done, a comfortable 2-0 win, and a very important 3 points after losing the first game. So ultimately, job done, the players got minutes in their legs, and that's about that. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought of the match in the comments down below, and just everything that I've been speaking about through the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.